So, Sangarshan, can you please tell me your roles and responsibilities of your current and previous project?
Okay, so right now I'm working for Guardian Life Insurance, where I'll be working for enterprise monitoring team, where we will be monitoring all the tools that are present in the company. So for this, we use a tool known as Xenos, which monitors all the tools in the company, and we will alert the teams if any of the device is down, and instantly an incident will be raised to the team. So yeah, this is what Xenos actually does. And so being a Python automation developer over there, my role is to mainly check the working flow of this Xenos tool is working properly or not. So it is completely Python friendly tool. So I make API calls to the Xenos and make sure that the working of the tool is perfectly fine by checking if all the devices are getting monitored or not. So the main source of these devices getting to be pulled to Xenos is a CMDB pull, which occurs daily. So the dump of these complete devices will be in the configuration management database, which is integrated with the service now over here. So I am writing like the Python scripts, which will be automated, like they will be running every day, and they will be sending out the report of the delta devices. I mean, like which are missing in the zonas and which are not getting monitored because few of the fields in the database are not completely filled out by the teams or improperly configured. So in such case, the exceptions will be raised and Xenos couldn't be able to pull those devices, and those devices will not be monitored. In such case, we will generate these reports and send out to those teams, identifying the gaps. So in this way, we have different use cases for different teams, and also we'll be working on Amazon Web Services, where we get all the devices which are instances, EC2 instances, which are up and running. For this, we use Board 3 library, and we also work on few Lambda functions to make the new instances, and we'll be checking on those instances if they are up and running and or not. And also, we have every week patching that goes on, and we will make sure the devices which are not running, the number is same. If the number goes up, that means there is a defective device which stopped running after the patching, which shouldn't be done. So we'll be monitoring all those things using Python scripts and everyday jobs that we run over here.
Okay. Fine, Sangarshan. And are you still in project?
Yes, yes, it's gonna end this week.
Okay, so what are the technologies you have used in your projects?
I'll be mostly using Python, AWS, um, and and Xenos tool and Splunk as well. Yeah, these were the couple of things I was using here.
Okay, and what is your total IT experience?
Around 8 years.
8 years. And what about the Python?
Python would be around 6 years.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, fine. Sangarshan, I'm going to ask a few questions regarding the technical skills.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, fine. So, can you tell me the differences between the list and tuple?
So list and tuple both are of the same kind, which are used to store the string of elements. So list is something like a mutable which can be changed, but whereas come to tuple, it is immutable. We cannot change we cannot append or any changes cannot be made on the tuples.
Okay. So, do you have idea about the monkey patching?
Monkey patching, no, I haven't worked on that.
Okay.
Hmm.
And can you briefly explain about the multi-threading in Python?
So multi-threading concept in Python is I mean like it is implemented when we want different processes to be run at a single time. I mean like where we have like multi-processing and multi-threading concepts, where I mean like the multi-processing occurs only when different kind of script. I mean like the classes and the objects need to be run. I mean like a code has a different type of classes. So all these classes, if they need to be run in a particular processing time at, I mean like a similar processing time, which means concurrently. So we use the multi-processing over there, and multi-threading is comes into play when we have a sequence of data. I mean like sequence of code which need not to be run at a single runtime. I mean, like one after the other. So in this course, we use the multi-threading concepts.
Okay. And
Hmm.
Sankarshan, can you explain the compilation and linking process in Python?
So compilation process. I mean, like we use the compiling. So basically, the code is only compiled when we require. I mean, like we don't want to expose any kind of passwords and user IDs. I mean, like it would be completely in the binary format and which cannot be readable by the human readable, which is not human readable. So that whenever we do any, I mean, like we run any scripts, I mean, or any kind of code valuation things, and so we compile those things so that the other teams or the other people who are in our Git Enterprise monitoring tool, they couldn't get access to the complete code, so they will not be able to change any piece of codes. So in this case, we use the compilers.
Okay, so we have steps, right, for the process of compilation and linking. Can you tell me?
I mean, like for the steps of the compilation, I mean, like we need to run the code initially for test, and then we need to write some unit tests for that. So, I mean, like it's a workflow actually. So, after running the unit tests and debugging them by using different Python tools like the unit test and the PyTest, we will be moving it to the MVC. I mean, like Git or GitHub, we will be pushing that into that, and then we will be compiling the code. Then we will get a compiled file. Then we will be storing that compiled file by changing the original piece of code. I mean, by replacing the original piece of code in any kind of model vision control or SVN or tools that the company uses.
Okay. And
Mhm.
Sankarshan, do you have idea about the Django architecture? So have
Yes,
you
I
used
do.
it in your projects?
Yes, I have used in my past projects using Django. We have built web applications. Yep.
Yeah, can you briefly explain what is the Django architecture?
So like Django would be uh, using Django REST frameworks. We can build different web applications so that it communicates between the URL and it hit back to the backend database, or it would be I mean like using different ORM modules. We can just connect to the database and pulls the information and get the HTTP requests, and we can using different HTTP requests like get put posts and patching and patch, so we can make those changes and we can get different HTTP responses based on, I mean like it may be a 200 for the success and 500 for the internal error or 404 not found errors. So these kind of responses we can gain using this Django framework. We can also connect to different databases and get this information to the front end.
Okay. Like, how can we set up the database in Django?
So in Django, I mean, like we have a out-of-box tool for this ORM modules. So by using this ORM mapping structures we have, so it will be mapping to that. Uh, but if we are not preferring to go with Django, we can, I mean, like different application. I mean, like for only high-end applications, we use like Django. For if it's a low end, we go for Flask or Pyramid kind of different frameworks. In those cases, we use SQL Alchemy for that. But in case of Django, mostly we will be using ORM modules. I mean, like the mappings
Okay.
to connect to the databases. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. So, how Python is compared with the other technologies? Why we encourage Python?
Uh, I don't completely encourage Python, but I mean, like, so every language has its own preferences and uses and advantages. But coming to Python, it's a more human readable, and I mean, like, it's easy to access, and most of, I mean, like, it is completely declared in. Unlike the Java, we need not specify all the classes because Python comes with different kind of modules and frameworks, so we don't need I mean like there is no need of using many classes and all. Also in the coming future, like the machine learning concepts, and uh, even it is more compatible with Python. That's the reason the Python market is growing up on day by day basis. So it's increasing rapidly. That's the reason we prefer Python.
Okay. So what are
Hmm.
the different ways to get Python code to run in a parallel way?
In a parallel way, for what? Can you be, I mean, like more brief about that?
Like, is Python with multi-threading is a good idea, or we have different ways to get Python code to run in a parallel way?
Multi-threading, so I mean, like it depends. So, because multi-threading is not Python is not that good at multi-threading because the runtime it takes like a more time to run the code, and it's also the efficiency of this multi-threading is about 40 to 50%, and so for this I would prefer to go with C++, which is very good at compile time and the execution time and effectiveness. So mostly we can prefer for C++ in these type of scenarios.
Okay, fine,
Mhm.
Sankarshan. And how do we keep track of different versions of your code?
So I mean, like we can work. I mean, like mostly whenever there is an update going on, so we will be testing it the code again, and we will be checking if there is any errors that are going on, and if so every time we can just run the code and check if there are any errors. We can just do again a unit test and a py test kind of thing, and we can just fix those bugs using, I mean, like fix those things if there is any improvement in the version of the uh, language.
Okay, so what is the preferred version control system? Which one we use?
Version control system, it completely depends on the client side. So some of them may use Git, GitHub, or Bitbucket, or SVN kind of stuff.
Okay, okay, so which one have you used?
I have used Git, GitHub, Bitbucket.
Okay,
Hmm.
yeah, just a second. So can you explain about the closures in Python?
Closers.
Yes.
Um, I'm not pretty much sure. I don't exactly recollect at this moment.
Okay, and what are the built-in
Mhm.
types available in Python?
There are several built-in modules and types in Python. Like we have different types of data frames for the pandas. We use kind of a database and like data frames for reading the CSV, Excels, and JSON formats. For I mean, like if there is any URLs that we are using, we use URL lib2 or lib3 depending on the version of the Python we are using. So in this way we can use like date time frameworks and different modules depending on the, I mean, like the type of code we write. We use a different modular approach. So for that we will be using different modules. We will be importing different modules using pip3 commands and all.
Okay, and how to find bugs in a Python application?
We use PyDB. It's a kind of a module. So we use PyDB to run the bugs debug testing.
Okay, so a string is immutable or mutable in Python?
String list. Are you asking about the list or tuple, or what's just the string?
No, just Python strings or immutable or mutable?
Yeah, those are mutable.
Mutable?
Hmm.
Okay, fine, Sangarshan, it's nice talking to you. Thanks for your time. I've written on the synopsis and it will be sent to the client. Your
Yeah. Okay.
recruiter, Paul, will get back with the further interview time slots.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Sankarshan. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.